Okay, as I was saying, guys, we are making a bag. I did not sleep yesterday night. Let me remove this. I'm sleepy. That's why I'm chewing gum. So we are making a bag that's going to have a front bag. I've not made the bag, so I just want to use this one to demonstrate. Okay, so we are making something like this. Like the front part of the bag is going to have a zipper, a front zipper. Okay, so I've cut out the template. I've also cut out the main panel of the bag. So I've cut this part off so that by the time we are sewing, we don't have any issue with the bulkiness of the interfacing we used. For this particular bag, for this main panel, I've used two interfacing, so I'm going to demonstrate how I put it together in order for it to come out this way. And so these are the two interfacing I used. Okay, these are the two interfacing I used. All right, so this one is papery in nature. It's papery in nature, so it's mostly used by tailors. Okay, and it's also called stain. So on this particular interface, there are two parts. There's the part that has gum glue on it. There's adhesive contact there. I can see it's kind of shining. And there's this other part that does not have anything. So this is the part that you iron on. It's also called iron on interface. So this is the part that you iron on your fabric. And I'm also using this one that is looking like cotton. You can see the difference. I don't know if you can differentiate between them. So in order to iron it on your fabric, just like this, you can see it's a bit thick because I used two interfaces, right? So you're going to lay your fabric down. The wrong side of your fabric is to be done. Then you're going to iron your fabric, the interface to it. The part that has gum is going to be on the wrong side of your fabric. You can either lay either of them first. So you can put this one down, you iron, or you can put this one just to get that thickness, that studding effect of bag. Then you iron the two onto the wrong side of your fabric. So you're going to get the effect just like this. Okay, so this I got this one. So if you don't have light or if you don't have iron, you can just sew on it. Okay, so now we've done this. I'm able to get these two parts. Okay, I'm able to get these two parts. So the measurement of this is let's talk about the measurements. The measurement is about 14 inches by 12 inches. Okay, 14 by 12 inches. It's 14 inches in width, okay, by 12 inches in length, by 12 in length. Okay, so this is the measurement I took for the two main bodies of this bag. All right, so since you've done this, the next thing we are going to be talking about is how to fix we are fixing the handle. So we are going to fix the handle first before we fix the zipper. So okay, let's fix the front zipper first. Let's fix the front zipper first. The front zipper I'm talking about is just like this. So I'm just quickly going to, I forgot, I didn't cut out the fabric I'm going to use. I'm just quickly going to cut out the fabric. All right, okay, let's see if I can use this particular fabric. So this looks kind of too big. So to attach this fabric, the zipper, I wouldn't want the fabric I'm going to use, because it's going to come with a fabric that is going to come like this, to be the same width with this. So since this one is 14 inches in width, I will want this one to be 12, like up 1 inch on this side. I will reduce 1 inch on this side and 1 inch on this side. I wouldn't want the lining to get to this extent. I don't know if you understand. By the time we finish fixing it, you are going to understand everything I'm explaining. So this is the part I'm going to use. So if you are cutting your own, make sure your own is longer. Okay, it's just going to be like a zip. So it's like a zip, a front zip. If you see this bag, you can see there's a zip there. So it's going to be like something like this. So if you want it to be very deep, you can make your own, the length to be much higher than this. Like the length of this is about, let me get the length of this. The length of this is 14 inches, but if you want it to be deep, you can take about 50 inches, because remember we are going to be folding it into two. Okay, we are fixing the front zipper to the tote bag we are making today. So instead of taking 40, you can take 60, depending on how you want the depth of your pocket to be, your front pocket. Okay, so once you've taken it like this, okay, we are making the front pocket, and once I've put the interfacing together, remember I used two interfaces. I've showed you how to use the interface. I've even showed you the interfacing I use. So this one at the front is called stain. It's used by tailors mostly. So if you want to get it, just go to where they says tailoring materials. You are definitely going to get this. Okay, so what I did, I reduced. It's not necessary because I'm doing this tutorial for beginners, so I have to reduce this part. If you see there's no interface here, I actually cut off the interface, so by the time we are sewing, we don't have much issue with sewing. So I'm just going to fold the first main panel. Remember the measurement is 14 inches by 12 inches. I'm going to get the middle. Okay, so to get the middle, you fold it into two like this, then you cut a notch, and I've already cut that notch. Okay, and I will take this one that I'm using for the pocket. For the pocket, remember we are doing something like this pocket, there's a pocket, there's a lining there. Okay, so this part, this is the part I'm using this as. Okay, so now I'm going to take this side. So the front side of the lining, okay, let's just call it a lining. The front of side of this lining is going to be facing the front side of the external main panel. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave, so I'm going to move it down. Okay, this, you are going to place it ensuring that the notch here, the middle here is on the like the mid. You fold this one into two. Sorry, I don't know why I'm blabbling. So you also fold this one into two. I want to get the middle of each of the panel. Reason be that I want them to align. That's why I'm doing all of this. So you take the notch here. Remember, this is the middle mark now. We've gotten the middle. That's why we've notched it. And this is the middle. You place the middle on the middle. But what you're going to do, you're going to ensure that the front side, this is the front side and this is the wrong side, is on the front side of the main panel. So I'm just going to turn. So the notch here should be on this notch, where this notch is. So you can also use your chalk to kind of trace it to get the middle, to ensure that they are on the same middle. Like the middle of this should be on the middle of this. I don't know if I'm talking too much. Please, you can comment. We are on live now. You can comment. If you have any question, please, you can ask. So I'm going to leave it about 1.5 inches. I'm not going to place it on top like this. I'm going to leave it about 1.5 inches down. So let's make some marks. Let's make some marks now. I'm just going to take my chalk. I will just quickly get 1.5 inches. You can either take 1.5 inches or you can take 3 inches. So I'm just going to, okay, let's take 2 inches. Okay, depending on where you want your pockets to get to. Okay, like this one now, this one is about this is about 4 inches where this pocket is placed. It's about 4 inches to from this place. So you can take 3 inches or you can take 2 inches. You can take, depending on if you want it to be around this place, which is a bit closer to the top, you can start cutting from here. This is about 1 inch. So I'm just going to take 2 inches. Okay, from that point I'm going to take 2 inches and just mark. So it's on 2 inches away from this. So also on this lining, I'm going to take it 1.5 inches. This is where I want my zipper to be placed. Okay, this is where I want my zipper to be placed. The place the zipper is going to be. So I'm just going to take 1.5 inches. Please, so don't go away. Make sure you watch this and understand every part. Remember, this is what we are doing. Very important. We are making a front pocket for a tote bag. Very, very important. So I will take 1.5 inches. From here to here is 2 inches. So for the lining, this place to this place is going to be 1.5 inches. 1.5 inches. You can, if you guys notice, I'm talking fast because I don't want us to stay too long on this live. So I'm just taking 1.5 inches. So after you've taken your 1.5 inches, the length of the lining is 12 inches. So I'm going to take 10 inches. So I will remove if you remove I'm going to remove, okay, the length is 12, right? I'm going to remove 2 inches, 2 inches from this 12 to get 10, because I would not want the zipper to get to the edge. Okay, I wouldn't want the zipper to get to the edge. Did you see the zipper did not get to the edge? So this is the beauty of it. Like this person here, this person took, I did not make this bag, guys. So this person took it took about 3 inches. So I'm going to take 1 inch. I want my own to be a bit long. Okay, so I'll bend it down depending on what you want. So I'll bend it down from 6, I'll just remove 1 inch from this side. I'll also remove 1 inch from this side. So the entire length is 12, and 12 minus 10, because when we remove 1 inch, that means we are removing 2 inches, right? So if you remove 2 from 12 inches, it's going to give you 10. So that means the length we are going to be leaving for the zipper pocket is going to be 10 inches out of the 12 inches for the length. Please, if you don't understand, you can ask me. Thank God we are on live. I can always go back and explain. So I will remove about okay, now I wanted to remove 1 inch, but 1 inch seems to be too small. So let's remove 1.5 inch. Okay, 1.5 inch, that's what we are going to remove instead of 1 inch, please. So I'm just taking 1.5 inch. All right, I'll come to this place. I'll remove 1.5 inch. Okay, so that means if you measure the length now, it's going to be about 9. It's going to be 9 inches, because it's 12 minus 2 inch. 12 minus 3 inches now, because we removed 1.5 from here. 1.5 plus 1.5 is 3. That means altogether we remove 3 inches. And when you subtract 3 inches from the entire length, which is 12, you are going to get 9 inches. Okay, so I'm taking 9 inches for the length of the outside zipper. Hope I'm making sense. Remember, we are doing this a front zipper pocket. Okay, so once you've taken this like this, I'm just going to measure 1.5 inches down, because I want to get a straight line now. That's what I want to get. I don't just want to connect directly, because when I do that, it might get bent. So I'll just measure 1 inches. We took 2 inches, sorry. Okay, sorry, I'm sorry guys. It's 1.5 inches. I just have to confirm. So I'll measure 1.5. Measure 1.5. You have to do this if you don't want your work to get bent. So you just have to take that time to get the correct one. Please don't hurry when you are doing your bags, because the more effort you put into making bags, the more finer your bag will come out. Okay, so I'll just connect the marks. I'm going to connect the marks now. Connect the marks. All right, so once you've connected the marks, I'm going to take from this point, I'm going to be taking 1 inch. I'm going to be taking half inch. I'm going to be taking half inch. What I mean that I want to draw a triangle like this. A triangle like this. All right, I want to draw a triangle. So from this point to this point that I'm going to be drawing the triangle on, just watch, it's going to be half inch. So I have a ruler I'm going to, like, this point to this point is half inch. So I'm going to use the ruler. I'm going to use the ruler to get my half inch. Okay, so I'm leaving this point to this point is half inch. So I'll place this yellow mark here on that line, because I want to get half inch mark. All right, I want to get half inch mark, so I will mark it out. Okay, this is what I'm doing. So this mark here is half inch. I'm just marking half inch. If you don't have a ruler that has half inch, you can use your tape rule. All you have to do is to place your tape rule that is half inch. You place it. Can you see? So it's half inch, right? It's half inch. It's half inch. So you place your tape rule like that. Then you mark out half inch. So you are going to, once you've done that, you can see it's now a triangle, right? So we've measured from this point, feet, from this line that we left. This one, here to here is 1.5, right? Here to here is 1.5. So here to here is also 1.5. Then we took half inch. From here to here is half inch. So we drew a triangle. So once you've done that, I'm going to draw a line at the middle. It's very simple, just because this is for beginner. That's why I'm taking my time to explain. So you're going to draw a line at the middle of this triangle. You draw a line at the middle. So I'm just going to do that now. I will take my ruler. I will take my pen, because when I use my chalk, the line will be too wide. So I'm just going to take my biro and do that line. Please, use your, if you are buying a pen, buy a silver pen that is erasable, that is cleanable. This one is not cleanable. So I'm just going to just make sure that everything is aligned. So if you feel that as you are doing it, you cannot eyeball it, you can measure out. You can always measure, but I'm not going to do that. I wouldn't want to waste that time. So this is what I'm doing. Let me use this pen to emphasize the chalk mark again. I just want to emphasize it. So because on this line that I'm drawing now, I'm marking out, I'm using to mark this out, are the lines that we are going to be sewing on. We are going to be stitching on these lines. All right, so I'm going to take it to the sewing machine now, guys. I'm going to take it to the sewing machine, and before you sew, make sure they are aligned. Oh, this notch must be on this notch, and from here to here is 1.5 inch. Don't forget that. All right, so I'm going to sew on this triangle. I'm going to sew from this point down to this point to this point. I'm just sewing on this box, this triangular box. I'm not going to sew on the middle mark. Okay, so watch and see how I'm going to, like, what we are going to do with this middle mark. But before that, let's sew. We are going to sew a triangular stitch in a triangular form. Is it sorry, we are going to stitch in a rectangular form this box from this point down to this point to this point and to this point. Okay, let's do that now. Let's do that now. I'm just going to move this one here. So if you can see it, all right, fine. So I'm just assuring that it's aligned. Please make sure your work is aligned so you don't get a bent work. So I'll start sewing. I'll back stitch first. Okay, so I will stop at that point here. That mark that we marked, remember, here to here is 1.5 inches. So I'm stopping there. Then I will turn. Then I will stitch up like this. Then I will turn in a boss form. Okay, we are doing it in a boss form. Then I'll continue stitching. Okay, right, don't know. Okay, I think the machine is having an issue now. All right, I'm sorry guys. Can see see what happened to my machine. You see, that's why I'm saying that these things happen sometimes. So if you're having issue, don't get annoyed or don't get frustrated. So I'm just quickly going to check my darn thread and see what is wrong. Okay, sometimes it might be that you did not read the thread of your machine very well. If you read it in a wrong way, you're probably going to have some issues. So I'll put it down again to check. So these are some of the issues you pass through when sewing. So it's not peculiar to anybody, irrespective of if you are a professional or if you are a beginner. You have this issue often. So don't let anyone intimidate you by telling you. So I think it's sewing now. Okay, I can see where the issue came from. I've seen where the issue came from. It actually did not pass through this tension. It did not pass through the tension. So first of all, when you're having issue, you check your machine to figure out where that particular issue is coming from before you start thinking of calling a machine repairer or technician, because these people are fond of extorting money. Yes, they can extort money, because a work that will not even take 1 hour, that they surely know that this work is something that can be even done by the owner of this machine. There's a way they will just convince you and charge you in a very exorbitant way. So you just have to, sometimes, it's not all the time you call a machine repairer to come and check your machine for you. So you to try to see if you can. So I'm trying to see if I can get. Okay, I also want to also quickly check if it's sewing. I just have to be sure that it's sewing before I start sewing. I have to be very sure. Alright, it's sewing. This is the back. So now we cannot continue. So the issue was from this place. It didn't go through the tension here. So that's why it was not even sewing. The back stitch was just very loose. So you can do all this by yourself. So I'll continue from this place. I'll back stitch because this here is stop sewing. So then we can continue our work. So I'm just sewing on that line. Remember we marked a line. Don't worry about these stitches. Don't worry. They are not going to be seen. So at this point, this 1.5 inch, I'm going to turn. Then I will sew. Remember again, this is what, so you don't get confused. This is what we are trying to make here, a front pocket for a tote bag. So don't get confused about what I'm saying. So I'll sew. Alright. And we are almost through with this one. I'll just go and back stitch. I'll come here and back stitch. Alright. Then I'll cut off this thread. Alright. This is where we had that issue. So though we sew it, we enforce it. So I just remove those threads, then bring those ones out. Okay. So what I'm going to do now, guys, this is it. Remember what I did? This is the front side of the main panel, right? I actually laid the front side on the front side of this. This side is on the front side of this. And what I'm going to do, remember I actually did not fix some interfacing here. Okay, this thing would have gone down a bit. Okay, I wanted it to be very easy by the time we are sewing. Anyway, it's okay. So what I'm going to do now, this line, this middle line that I drew a middle line here, right? I'm going to turn this thing into two. I'm going to fold it. One thing you can do, guys, you can use your seam ripper. You just cut on this middle line. You cut a bit on it like this. I'm going to be cutting through. Okay, you cut a bit from this point that I've cut. You can start using scissors to cut. You just cut it open. Okay, but if you don't have a seam ripper, if you're a beginner, you have not got your equipment, what you do, you fold this into two. I'm going to fold it into two. All right, then you cut on this mark here. You're going to cut on this mark. You cut on the middle, the mark, that mark we drew. And scissor is not that sharp. All right, and from that mark you can start cutting it open. Okay, so we're just going to cut it open now on that mark that we drew, that middle mark. If you have been here from the beginning, you must have been following up. So when I'm cutting, guys, I'm not going to get to the point, this edge here. Okay, I will leave about 1 inch or ½ inch from the edge. Okay, now you're going to leave ½ inch from here to here. You're going to leave ½ inch, so you don't cut to the edge. Leave about ½ inch. Then at this ½ inch, assuming this place to this place is ½ inch, I'm just going to cut something like a slatted, in a slatted shape. I'll just watch what I'm doing. Watch what I'm going to do. I'll cut it like this. See, I'm slatting it. I'll cut it to this edge. I'm going to cut it to this edge. Okay, so I cut it to this edge. Then I'll take the other part. I'll cut this part to this edge. Okay, so what I'm basically saying is, let me use my pen and tape rule to explain what I'm saying for the beginners. So what I'm saying is, you're going to measure ½ inch. You measure ½ inch from here to here. Let's assume this is ½ inch. So I'm going to draw a line like this. Okay, so this is what I've done. Can you see? So this ½ inch here to here, I didn't get to the point. So I'm here to here is ½ inch. Then I drew something like a slanted lines from this edge to this edge. So by the time we sew, by the time we cut up to this point, I'll just cut from here to here. I'm going to cut from here to here. Just see what I'm going to do. So let's assume we are still cutting. I'm still cutting on this line. Okay, so I will slice it like this. I'll cut to this point. Okay, then I'll cut this other point too. See what I've done. All right, so once you've done it like this, I'm going to turn this through this. Okay, then you turn. Okay, as you can see, All right, we are turning. So after you turn, you're going to have something like okay, it's going to be coming like this, guys. It's going to be coming like this. Sorry if you cannot. It's going to be coming like this. So this one, so I'm going to be folding this. I wouldn't want my lining to show. You can also use a black lining if you don't want it to show. So we're going to be folding this into this. You can iron in place also. You fold this. This is the place we are going to be putting our zipper. All right, so let's first of all try and iron it in place. Let's iron it in place. So I'm just quickly going to take my iron. I'll fold it because I don't want the lining to show. I'll fold it like this. I'll fold it, then I'll press it in place. So I'll just quickly on my iron. I'm going to be pressing. Okay, so make sure everything is inside, but we don't want it to show. That will not be professional. So I'll quickly just press. So any part that is coming out, just take them in. Then I'll press. Then I'll take this other part too. I'm going to fold it like this. Fold it inside. Just make sure you fold everything inside. Now press. Okay. So I will advise you to use a black lining. Use a black lining so it doesn't show. So what I was trying to say, what I was saying today, I'm trying to explain that I cut some part here out. So on this part that we sew on, this part we are cut out. So you can see it's actually it will be very soft to sew. But on this part is a bit bulky, right? It's a bit bulky, like, because there are more interface in there. So it's better you cut some part off if you don't want to have any issue. I'm actually doing this for beginners, okay? So whatever I'm explaining here, if I'm doing it for beginners, because I know that if you are just starting, these are part of the area you're going to be having issues. These are part of the areas you're going to be having issues. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my zipper. So I'm going to be taking my zipper. This zipper measures about 13 inches by 1 inch. So I'm going to take it like this, and I will place it on top of this. I'm going to place it on top of this. Okay, so it's going to come like this. You can see that the lining is showing, so it's not supposed to show. Okay, I advise you to use a black lining. So anyway, it's going to come like this. So as you are sewing, try to push in the lining. Try to push in that red part of the lining so it doesn't show that much. So it's going to come like this, right? It's going to come like this. So you're going to sew from this point in a rectangular form, from this point all the way to this point. Remember the measurement I took is 13 inches. Ensure that your lining extend up. Okay, so we are just going to sew now. And for the lining, since you are using a red lining for the inside, you use a red thread down so that it can match. Okay, point of correction. So I'm just going to be sewing. So as I'm sewing, I will be folding it in to the best I can. But it's still going to show though. So I'm just going to fold it in. You can also use your pins to pin them in place if you feel they are going to move. Then if you have a double-sided tape, you can use your tape too to hold them in place. So I'm just going to do my best to ensure that everything is well sewn. All right, so I'll put it down. Make sure my zip is like this. Okay, let me align the camera. So I'm just going to take paste to sew it in place. I think it will be quite easy here because there's not much fabric on this part, but on this part it's a bit thick. So I'm just trying to ensure that the lining is not showing. So I'll take paste and just sew. Alright, so I'm not sewing fast. I'm not sewing fastly. I'm just taking paste so that I get a very neat work. So I'm trying to move the lining down. I don't want it to show. That's the main aim I'm doing this. I don't want it to be seen outside. So that's why I'm advising you to use a black lining inside. So when I get to this point, I'll put my needle down, I will turn, I will raise that part of the machine down. Okay, then I'm going to stitch it in a straight line. Okay, at this point I'll put it down, and we're going to do this other part too. Make sure that your lining is not seen. So I told you this place is going to be a bit bunky because we didn't trim out that interfacing on that part. Anyway, we're just going to figure out what we can do. So when doing yours, make sure you trim out, you remove some part of the interfacing, just like I explained in the beginning of this video. So just take this. So I'm going to show you the difference now. You can see that this one is a bit covered and this one is showing because it's bulky. It's like it's interfacing there is much. So that's why you should trim out. So when I finish, I will explain more on what I'm trying to say. Okay. So normally, if I'm not on camera, these are things that I can correct on my own, but I can't I can't just go off and start removing the interfacing. I know I'll be wasting your data because I know you people are online watching. So these are things that you should take notice of when sewing bags. So whenever you notice any error, please take time and correct that error before you continue. So these are the things that people see, and I will make them to classify you if you are a good bag maker or not. So always make sure you correct your mistakes when you notice any mistake. So now we'll turn. All right. So we are almost there. I'm just going to get to this part and then I'll back stitch. All right. So I'll just quickly bone. Okay. I'll bone this part too. And I'll cut off this excess lining. Don't need it. Alright. So this part. Okay, can you see guys that this lining is not showing on this part, but it's showing here. It's showing here. Reason being that when I was sewing, when I was attaching the interface, I actually removed some parts from this top part so that it will not be that bulky. But on this part, we didn't remove much. You can see we didn't remove much. That's why this place is a bit bulky and we cannot, like, it's hard for us to bring it down the lining we're sewing. So make sure you reduce some part from that part, especially when you are sewing a bag that is hard. On the part you are going to put your outside front lining, make sure you remove some interfacing so you don't have the same issue that I had here. You can see the difference. Like this place is a bit bulky and this place it's lay flat. It can lay flat. So once I've done that, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take my lining like this, okay? So I'm going to pin them from this point down, then I'm going to sew all around it. So that will give us our front, that's going to give us our front pocket. Excuse me, guys. So that's going to give us our front pocket, okay? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to align them now and pin them right down. I'll use my clips. I'm going to use my clip and pin them. So pin. So once you finish pinning, I'm just going to sew from this point all to this point, okay? So let's do that now. Let's sew now. So when sewing, make sure that this part, the main panel, is bent like this so that you don't sew on it. Okay, that's very important. Bend it away from the lining you are going to sew. If you sew, if you leave it like this and you sew, it's going to sew on it and the stitches are going to show here. So you bend it away from the lining before you start sewing. So I'm just going to, so you back stitch first. Quickly fix the chain. So I'll also bend this one away. So always make sure you bend your external part away so that it does not sew on it. It doesn't sew on this part when sewing this, the lining close. I'm just checking to see if you guys are seeing what I'm doing. So now also bend this external away, okay, so that you don't sew on it. Remember, we are sewing the front pocket to the back, to the top bag. So you back stitch. All right, so I'm just going to cut this and cut this part off. Okay. Okay, guys. So this is what we've done so far. So I explained to you the errors that arise from this that you shouldn't do. You can see, first of all, make sure you use a black lining, and secondly, the reason why this one is laying flat and this is not laying flat is because when I was sewing it, because once it's bulky, you won't be able to pull it down to sew so that this one lays flat, the lining. So you make sure you trimmed out some interfacing. Can you see that I trimmed out some interfaces from the top and I didn't trim from this part? So that's why this top part is laying flat and this is not laying flat. So you do to that, and also make sure you use a black lining instead of using an horse blood, so it doesn't show that much. And don't forget, this is what we are making. So I'm going to be making a full bag with this. So this is like the external front zipper. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to be sewing the hand to this bag. It's a tote bag. But the primary aim of this bag is to teach you how to sew a front zipper pocket to a tote bag, and this is mainly for beginners. Sorry if I keep saying beginners. Yes, my live streams are for beginners. Okay, my other video you can go and watch if you're in the same level with me. Okay, so that's why I'm taking my time to explain how to make these things. I'm actually taking my time to explain how to make them. So I've got my handle here. So this handle measures, I'm going to explain how I got it anyway, okay, with this. So I've sewn one of the handle, all right, and once you've got your notches at the middle, you're going to measure 1.5 inches. Was it at 1.5 inches? Please let me confirm, please. Okay, so you just measure 2.5 inches away from the middle. 2.5 inches. Can I get my... Okay, so you measure 2.5 inches from the middle, then you mark it, this 2.5 inches. So I'll measure another 2.5 inches, place my 2.5 inches mark on this middle mark, then I'll mark it. Okay, so this handle, we've sewn it. I'm going to explain with this how we got the handle. So on this mark, I'm going to put it on the right side of it. This is the right side of it, right? So I'll place it like this. So this handle will not be seen. This is how I'm going to be placing it. This is how I'm going to be sewing the handle. Please watch carefully and make sure you pay attention to what I'm doing. So I'm going to be placing it like this. I will not place it the same level with the panel, with the main panel, because by the time we are stitching, we might mistakenly not stitch on it. So I will extend it a bit up. Okay, so I will place it at the right side of this mark. There's a barrow mark there. I'll place it like this. Then I will clip it. Then make sure your handle is not twisted. So you make sure as you are placing the second one, make sure it's not twisted. Okay, don't go and place it like this. It will be twisted. So you make sure you ensure it's not twisted. Okay, so you take this other one. This is the other barrow mark. I'll place it on this side of it, on this other side. Okay, of it. This is the barrow mark here. So I'm placing it on this side of it. So I will extend it a bit up like this. Okay, so I'm going to stitch on it, on this part and on this part, so that it comes up like this. All right, by the time we finish sewing, it's going to come up like this. Okay, that was going to turn out fine. So this is just a process of doing this. So I'm just going to stitch on it now. I'm going to stitch on it. So if you have any question, please ask. So I'll just stitch on it. Follow that measurement. Okay, making sure I'm doing the right thing, guys. So I'll stitch on it. Okay, what happened? Didn't sew. I don't know why you don't sew. Okay, I'll sew again. I'll back stitch first. Back stitch again. Okay. And I'll sew this other part too. So the handle is going to come up like this. So I'm just going to sew the second part to the second handle to that. We are almost through with the external. So the next tutorial, okay, let's finish this. So the handle actually measures, let me take my tape rule. The handle measures 4 inches in width by 18 inches, okay, by 18 inches for the external. And for this part, which is called stain, it measures 2 inches. 2 by 16 inches. So I just took it. After cutting it out, I ironed it to the middle of the external, the wrong side of the external. So what you're going to do, you can take your iron and just press it down. Okay, so I'm just going to do that. I'm going to be pressing it down. Just make sure you press down so it slips. Okay, I'll press this other part down too. Jesus, I adore you. Off it. So you're sewing the handle. So you're going to sew, you can clip them in place, but what I'm going to do, I'm just going to cut. See, when I fold it like this, you can see this part of it is showing. So I'm just going to slice it like this. I don't want it to show. Alright. Pin the handle. I'll clip it in place. Jesus, I adore you. I declare you as King. Standing here in the midst of us. Risen up with a praise. So I'm just also going to cut this part off. As we worship you, the church. So I'm just going to sew from all the way down like a rectangular stitch. I don't know why I kept on calling it triangular. So let's sew now. Shout to the Lord, all the head, let us sing. Sewing the handle here. I've finished sewing the handle. I'm just going to take the second panel. So I'll measure out, I'll first of all cut a notch. I'll fold it into 2. Then where's that my tape? Yes, I can't get my tape. So okay, once you folded it into 2, you're just going to take about 2.5 inches. 2.5 inches. I think I have to be putting this tape on my neck. I have to be putting it on my neck so I don't keep looking for it. So I'll measure out 2.5 inches from the middle. I get 2.5 inches. I get another 2.5 inches. Okay. Then I'll place it on the right hand side of it, making sure that your handle is not twisted. I will extend it a bit up. Okay, make sure your handle is not twisted. Make sure it's not twisted. So I'm going to stitch on them. Okay, my thread just got finished. Back stitch. So these are the 2 panels now. We have the 2 panels. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to be sewing them together, and before then I'm going to be cutting out the part that is going to give it a base shape bottom. Okay, so I'm going to be cutting out the part that is going to give it a base shape bottom. Alright, so I've measured out a template for that. I got a template for that which measures 3 inches by 3 inches. That's the template. So what I'm just going to do, I'll place it on the panel. So I'm going to be cutting out something like this. I don't know why I can't get. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to do the second one now. So it's going to, remember when sewing, it's going to come like this. It's going to be coming like this. That's what is going to give it a base shape. Right? So this is what you're going to be expecting by the time we are sewing. It's a tote bag anyway. So let me just cut the second part out. I'll keep this aside. Cuts. So I'm going to be sewing these two together. So I'll lay them right side facing right side. Then I'll pin them. Okay. So I'm going to sew from this point to this point, also from this point to this point. Once finished sewing that, we'll come to this part and we'll sew this part close. Okay, let me just quickly pin them. So you sew at half an inch seam allowance. I'm going to eyeball it. thick now because we are using like 4 layers of interface, so it's a bit thick. So this one that is extending out does not really matter, it can just trim off. So I'm going to sew again because it's actually job thread here, so I'm just going to reinforce it again. So I don't know why my thread keep leaving the tension, because it seems that happened before. Just quickly fix it. Remove this one so that I don't cause issues today. To the Lord of the earth, let us praise. So it's actually job thread here, so I just have to reinforce it. Thread, what is your problem? Let me use this other thread. Just sew at half an inch seam allowance. So you're still going to sew the lining. Sorry, I had a call there under disconnection. So you're just going to sew on this with half an inch seam allowance. Sorry for that disconnection, please. The call keep coming. So I'm just sewing with half an inch seam allowance. I'll just quickly sew the second one. That will be the end for this today's tutorial. And tomorrow we are going to be sewing the lining of this bag, the lining and the zipper. So what I'm simply doing, I'm bringing this seam, what's it called, seam line to this seam line, and I'll put them together, and I'm going to clip them. quickly sew. Last part. Jesus, I love to praise your name. Back stitch here. I want to be kind of secure there. Turn it inside out now. Let's see the results. So remember, the main aim of this live stream is to show you how to make a front pocket. So just put your finger out and tuck these ones out. Put your finger inside, rather tuck these ones out. You can see this one is not well sewn, so I'm going to do that later. Part of them are not well sewn. So I'm going to sew those ones later. So tomorrow we are going to be doing the lining. I'm going to be sewing the lining. That will be tomorrow's tutorial. Tomorrow's tutorial. Please. So this is just part of it today. It's part of what we have today. Okay, so today's tutorial is a bit strict, so you can always iron in place. So just to show you, today's tutorial is to show you how to fix a front zipper pocket. Okay, so a tote bag. Alright, so tomorrow we're going to be sewing the lining. So if you are interested in how to sew a lining to put in a tote bag and how to put a zipper, a recession, is it called a recessive zipper? I don't know, there's a name for that. Like the zipper that goes across a tote bag. Please make sure you come to my live stream tomorrow. Make sure you turn your notification bell on in order to be on my live stream. So this is it. Because it's a bit soft actually, because we use wording, we use iron-on interface. So if you want it to be harder than this, you can use, what is it called? You can use your leather. Leather is usually very hard when you use for bags. Okay, depending on what you want. There are some people that prefer soft bags. Okay, so this is basically just on how to sew a zip in front of bags. Okay, so I told you where this problem arises from. So make sure when you are doing yours, you remove the excessive you remove some interfacing from the part you are going to sew your zipper on, so that your, by the time you sew, like, it lays flat. Okay, you can see that this particular one lay flat and this one did not lay flat, so you know where the problem actually came from. Okay, so that's basically all, guys. I'm actually very tired now. We've been working since yesterday. Okay, have a beautiful day, guys. Bye.